Good morning, welcome to Median's webinar. I am Cyril Laurent, the moderator for today's webinar. I'm happy to bring you a very interesting topic for discussion: how an effective collaboration between imaging CRO and investigator sites contribute to successful clinical trials. We have two speakers today, Narvy. So Narvy has been working as a site manager for about 2 years now at Median, with previous experience in the medical imaging field, and Regan Moore. Regan has been with Median Technologies as an image manager for 1.5 years now, and Regan has been working as a CT technologist for over 20 years. She trained and worked at the well-known Level 1 trauma hospital in the state of Georgia, the Grady Memorial Hospital. So before we start the presentation, a brief introduction about Median Technologies. So we are an leading AI-based next generation precision medicine company. We concentrate on helping conquer cancer and other diseases through routine imaging tests and imaging services for drug development. With our offices based in US, Europe, and China, we operate globally to deliver best-in-class end-to-end imaging services for your oncology trials. A practical reminder is that you can submit your question during the presentation through the question panel, and we will answer them at the end of our webinar during the Q&A session. Now, let's welcome Narvy for the first talk. Narvy, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Cyril. Hello, everyone. As Cyril mentioned, I'm Narvy, one of the site managers here at Median, based in the US. Just a brief overview of what we will be covering in today's webinar. Regan and I will be going over the activities performed by site and image management and covering some of the main challenges we face and how we succeed in overcoming them. So now let's get into Median Technologies' role and main roles and responsibilities. Investigator sites, which are responsible to recruit the patients, to acquire and properly submit images to Median Technologies, are by consequence key contributors to the clinical trials. Within Median, we strive to be as flexible as possible according to the sponsor's need and work in close cooperation with the sponsor and CRO to match all expectations. As an imaging CRO, Median Technologies is in charge of collecting and reviewing all images acquired in oncology clinical trials to assess drug safety and efficacy based on imaging endpoints. Training and supporting the investigator sites throughout the trial is one of the key components leading to trial success, specifically when it comes to reducing the amount of queries and reducing the site initiation process time. At Median, the image and site management team are responsible for training and supporting the investigator sites. The site management team is responsible for the activities during the site initiation process, while also assisting sites with access throughout the duration of the study, while the image management team is responsible for image quality control and issuing queries prior to independent review. Let's start with the site management team's main responsibilities. The site management team has many responsibilities. One of the responsibilities is to provide the site with necessary manuals such as the imaging acquisition guidelines, which aims to define requirements for image acquisitions, such as acquisition parameters, scheduling, and the image transfer mode. The image acquisition guidelines provides recommendations for image acquisitions based on the study protocol, which helps us to ensure standardizing quality across all the sites. A second responsibility of the site management team is to handle site imaging initiation. During the site initiation process, a site questionnaire is provided and expected to be completed by all sites. Within the site questionnaire, we're going to be able to review if the sites will be facing any challenges with things such as imaging delays, could be staff shortage, or if they're unable to just adhere to the IAG. Being provided all this information will help us to figure out how to properly follow up with the site. A third responsibility is to train and provide access to the image upload platforms and query system. Before access can be provided, our team has created some customized trainings based on whatever the study's needs is. We have this training process to ensure that the sites receive the appropriate access during the trial. Lastly, our team is responsible for supporting sites with any difficulties they may be having, either with image submission or if they're having site staff changes. Our team is responsible for ensuring that we are being as supportive as we can during all of these times. For example, if there are changes in image uploaders on a site, we'll need to make sure that the new site staff gets onboarded properly and that they receive the appropriate training to receive access, and that we also make sure to revoke access to any old contacts. All right. So now let's get into the site initiation process step by step. When the site management team is alerted that there is a site ready to start the site initiation process, the first step is sending them a welcome email to the study coordinator. The welcome email will include a site questionnaire, imaging acquisition guidelines, and a user manual if available for the study. The site questionnaire is used to collect information on the site. The imaging acquisition guidelines has a global list of recommendations and imaging parameters based on the study protocol. And the user manual summarizes median processes and outlines the IAG and the training documents. The second step will be for the SE to review and share the IAG with their imaging department and to complete the questionnaire with information about their imaging facility, the main contacts on site, and the responsible personnel for image uploading queries. They're also asked to provide the imaging modalities available on sites. We also ask the site to provide us their preferred image transfer mode. Although e-transfer is our preferred method, we do realize that sometimes due to hospital securities, they're unable to use our e-transfer platforms. So CD is offered as a backup solution. In the site questionnaire, we also ask for the site to confirm if there be any imaging delays, as well as asking the site to acknowledge if they foresee any difficulties in adhering to the imaging acquisition guidelines. Gathering all this information will help us understand the site better to navigate any difficulties that may come up. So once the site completes the questionnaire and confirms trainings on the IAG, they will return the questionnaire back to us. The third step of our process will be to review the questionnaire to ensure that the site has provided us all necessary information to move forward. If all is completed and well, we can go ahead and validate that site questionnaire. And we can now move on to the fourth step of sending out training on the image submission process to all the site senders identified in the questionnaire. At Median, we offer various ways of trainings. We can create customized user manuals to help explain the process of site initiation and the image upload process, along with explaining our query management system. We can also create training videos for sites to watch. We're also able to offer remote training sessions to establish a more personalized training session if requested. But once the site sender completes the training, they'll have to return the corresponding training forms to site management. The fifth step will be validating the training form received. If all fields are completed correctly, we can go ahead and validate the training form and move on to the sixth step of our process, which is to provide access. Our team will now provide access to all site users that have completed the training to gain access to the image upload platform and meeting query system, or will be provided with UPS supplies if e-transfer is not available on their site. The last step at 7, the site is now considered fully initiated by Median, and the study coordinator will receive an email with the site initiation record to confirm initiation is completed. So this is the site initiation process. Now Reagan will be going over the image management team's process.
Hello, everyone. My name is Regan, and I'm one of the image managers here at Median based in the US. Median's image management team is comprised of certified technologists and biomedical engineers. Our main responsibilities are linked to our investigator sites. Image quality control. Images have been performed according to the study protocol and IAG. Image managers ensure completeness of images by viewing each image received from the site. We also provide accuracy and integrity involved in the protocol's imaging endpoints by making sure the images sent for review to our radiologists meet the parameters of the IAG. As Narvy previously mentioned, the Image Acquisition Guideline, or often referred to as IAG, is a guideline that is in accordance with the study protocol drafted by the sponsor's specificities. This document provides imaging guidelines to assist with providing as much consistency as appropriate for imaging exams such as CT, MRI, and nuclear medicine for all enrolled subjects across all study sites, and each study site will receive a copy. Image query management. Image managers raise queries to sites when the quality control process has failed. What is a query? A query is a request submitted to the sites to address and resolve any issues with the image during the quality control or QC process. When replying to Median about the open query, the investigator site is requested to reply directly to the image manager for their study. The failed process comes in the form of images deviated from the protocol stated in the IAG, such as missing anatomic body parts or the lack of IV contrast. Image reconciliation ensures that all images acquired on site have been collected and transferred to Median. According to the specificities of the sponsor, a reconciliation can be conducted bi-weekly or monthly. Queries are also created during the reconciliation process if images have not yet been received by Median. Image support. Image managers support sites for any clinical and technical inquiries. We help sites upload images with the correct image format. We also make sure all images have digital imaging communications or DICOM tags attached and answer any questions the site may have about the IAG. Now, let's take a step-by-step look at our electronic workflow from site to Median. Step 1, images are acquired via CT, MRI, and nuclear medicine departments. Step 2, after the images have been acquired, the technologist sends the images to their Picture Archiving Communication System, also known as PACS. Step 3, the site receives an on-site request to collect images. Step 4, the site's PACS manager copies the images to a CD. Step 5, the CD is uploaded for electronic transfer. Image transfer should typically be 7 days after image acquisition. Step 6, images are de-identified and transferred to Median. During this process, personal identifying information about the subject is removed, and a randomized subject ID is given to the patient throughout the remainder of the study. Step 7, upon successful transfer of the images, the electronic transfer system will automatically notify Median of the transfer via email. Then the quality control process will be performed by the image manager. Step 8, if there is a discrepancy with the images, such as missing anatomic coverage, the lack of IV contrast, or images are in a wrapped DICOM format, the IM will issue a query to the site stating the reason, and the process starts over again. Now, let's see how Median succeeds when faced with challenges.
So now let's dive into some challenges that we have been able to resolve by using new tooling and getting more organized and better acquainted with the sites and sponsor. Although we do know that there are some factors that may add to the delay in response from site, simplifying our processes and keeping them as clear as possible is key to maintaining a strong communication with sites. One of the main challenges that we face is contributors being from different backgrounds. And what we mean by that is that contributors like the study nurses, physicians, and radiologists are all from different backgrounds. So we know that when working with others in different fields, things can sometimes be challenging when trying to get aligned and understanding everyone's roles. We try to adapt our interactions with contributors based on their needs. For example, sometimes we'll get feedback from sites confirming that they are waiting for their radiology department to review the IAG before they can go ahead and complete our site questionnaire. With this new information, we will go ahead and confirm a proper date to follow up with the site to ensure we're giving them enough time to review the documents. Another key example could be when sites are queried to upload a certain scan, they can push back to us, letting us know that It's taking them some time to get their scans from a different department, and this can be really challenging for them. So we want to ensure that we're being as supportive as we wait for these scans and providing them any detailed information about the query. Another challenge we face with our contributors are the language barriers and cultural differences. Within Median, we do have colleagues in China, Europe, and the US, and we'll collaborate with each other if additional support is needed when with sites. To overcome language barriers, we can provide translated documents. We're also working with our providers to get additional multi-language support and are able to obtain translators to facilitate calls if needed for our sites. As English is the primary business language used when working with contributors whose primary language is not English, it can be really hard for them to understand us. So we're always working on improving our communication to better support sites from different backgrounds. For example, one of our US team members had a training request from a site in China, and our team members in China were able to help alleviate the stress by offering them a remote training session on the image upload process, while also providing them more details on the images needed for this study in their native language. A solution we have created for our contributors is providing them with training certificates. If they have been on multiple Median projects before, where they've already completed training on our e-transfer system, our Median query system, or even CD shipment, this training certificate will help eliminate an extra step for the site sender and reduce the burden of extra work. If the user has already completed training on another project, we can go ahead and use that training certificate to move forward with the user's access. We often see the same contacts pop up for different studies. So this is a nice way to help smoothen the site initiation process. While working with clinical trials, we may ask for them to add to their administrative workload. Our studies have been transitioning to work with the tool DocuSign. Using DocuSign can help eliminate some extra work for sites. It was challenging for some sites to be able to provide us a signature on their documents before using DocuSign. DocuSign will help sites not have to print out documents and provide us a handwritten signature. One of the many reasons we decided to implement DocuSign is that a site informed us that she had to walk up about 5 flights of stairs one time just to get to her printer to be able to print out the documents, and then for her to sit there and review them. And then after reviewing them, she would have to sign it and send it back to us. So she'd have to go back up these stairs and scan the training and send it back to us. And they just complained about how time consuming it was for them. And we can only imagine how exhausting this extra work can be. This also contributes to another challenge that we face is that not all sites have the same resources. This can vary from having different imaging modalities that are available on their site to their standard of care available. The amount of staff they have on site can also vary, as well as site having different policies for image anonymization. Some sites could be really close to their other departments, so getting scans or feedback from their IT departments can be very quick, but may vary for others if they don't work with the other departments or even have an IT or radiology department available on their site. To some, Median's processes are memorized and they have worked with us in multiple studies, but this could also just be a brand new process for someone else. Because of all this, we have to be as supportive and flexible, knowing that every site does not have the same resources and may face some challenges due to their lack of resource. Reagan, what are some of the challenges they're having in the imaging department?
Well, as we all know, hospitals are extremely busy, more so now due to COVID-19, especially the departments that fall under the radiology umbrella, such as CT, MRI, and nuclear medicine. The image management department's biggest challenge is communicating with various departments and coordinating the transfer of images. We utilize a site contact list provided by site management to email and make calls to necessary facilities. If a site happens to be in another country, we make excellent use of our resources by aligning with coworkers in France and China to contact the site on our behalf and make a request or elaborate on a specific topic. Once we establish communication and the site knows exactly what we need from them, our next feat is coordinating the transfer of images. The site sender has the sole responsibility of gathering all the images for various clinical trials that the facility may be enrolled in. Therefore, it may cause a delay in receiving images. Another cause of delay could be due to language barriers, not only in various countries, but in different terminology used across the medical field. When communicating with a site or raising a query, I try to keep my messages as simple as possible. although what I perceive as simple may not be simple to someone else. You never know who you are dealing with on the other end of the phone or keyboard, and you don't know their English proficiency level. It can be difficult trying to explain to a person whose native language is not English that you need them to resend images due to the slice thickness of CT images already sent, not fitting the parameters listed in the IAG. Language barriers is one of the contributing factors to queries not being resolved. I have a personal experience with sites not fully understanding my queries because they are not able to comprehend the description of the query. So the query is most often overlooked until it is escalated to the sponsor, therefore causing the number of queries to increase. Image managers are tasked with tracking large amounts of queries. We make sure we respond to each query within a certain amount of time. Some queries require more attention than others, such as calling sites, asking for images, scheduling meetings with CRAs and sponsors to create a plan of action to help sites communicate effectively and send images in a timely manner. This can be a daunting task when you have multiple projects and hundreds of patients for each project. Median's image managers are dedicated to ensure a query is never forgotten, and that is why we heavily rely on our query management system. Once a query is issued, the sites receive an email alerting them to an open query with a reminder notification of pending queries. Sites can also keep in direct communication with the image manager for their specific project. Once a site sender replies to an open query, our IMs receive an email notification. The query management system tracks important statistics. Here's an example. If you look to the left of the screen capture, you will see a list of analytics being tracked. Inactive users alert us to know when a site sender is no longer valid and needs to be replaced. It also tracks how many queries are open, closed, and answered. The tracking system goes into detail by telling us we have answered queries open for more than 2 days, queries open for more than 2 weeks, and less than 4 weeks. Moving to the right, you see all pertinent information for a query. Some items have been removed for confidentiality. In this case, it is the project ID. Patient ID is the randomized number we talked about earlier. The site ID allows us to know which facility the patient is affiliated with. Geographical area shows us the country the patient and the sites are in. Visit name. Each time point submitted is given a visit name, and it allows us to quickly determine which time point is in question. Status of the query. As you may see, all queries here listed are closed. The description. We give a brief description to inform the site sender about issues we are having with the images that are submitted. And category is another way of tracking queries and is synonymous with the description. And finally, we have the date of creation. So you see, our query management system is very efficient and extremely user-friendly. Now, let's discuss the optimization of query management. Site contacts are updated daily to ensure that the responsible contacts, such as site senders, clinical research assistants, and/or sponsors, have access for managing queries received and are kept in the loop about their projects. If you look at the chart to the right, you will see an example of how queries are categorized. This chart shows the total number of closed, open, and answered queries, along with how many queries are waiting for sites to respond. Investigator sites and sponsors can track queries by categories and prioritization level. Take, for example, you're in a meeting and you need to quickly report on a specific query. The user can easily filter a specific patient instead of going through a long list of patients for that site. Now, let's learn about how we can overcome difficulties when dealing with vendors.
Thanks, Reagan. Another challenge we face is difficulties with the vendors. We understand that vendors use a bunch of different programs and that these processes and quality requirements are not the same across the countries and across the vendors. We also understand that IT restrictions are hard to anticipate, and once an issue arises, it can be really difficult to overcome. To help alleviate about 99% of IT usage, we provide tools that are fully web based, and that makes things easier because all you really need is internet connection, which will allow you to use our tools such as e-transfer and the meeting query system easily. Constantly trying to simplify our processes and keeping them as clear as possible is going to be one of our main drivers in maintaining good communications with the sites. All right, now let's go over some of our achievements when it comes to reducing site burden from initiation to the last image transfer. We've been reducing sites burden in multiple ways, like from us supporting the sites in different languages, offering them different types of trainings, whether it be a translated user manual to offering them a remote session in their native language. We'll also work on gathering a support team in their own native language if needed. And this is just really helpful in order for the sites to better understand our processes or to even just be more comfortable for them to get clarification on things that may be unclear for them. Also, with the new media query system, this helps us better manage queries and also allows sites to give and receive feedback on images submitted. With us also transitioning to using DocuSign, this has lessened some administrative work for the contributors, and these have all been really great additions to help us relieve any site stress. We have transitioned to fully web based platforms to prevent as much as possible technical issues due to IT restrictions and reduce sites having to download extra programs. We're also using well known providers to ensure we're offering the best service. Support is provided by our subcontractors with translators when necessary, helping us tackle that language barrier for our sites that our sites may be having. Median is also notified when there's a technical issue occurring with e-transfer or the query portal, so we can ensure that it is being provided to our sites. Median expert will contact and assist the site for investigation and resolution to prevent as much possible technical issues due to IT restrictions.
And more of our main achievements are improving our query resolution time. The query management system is used to answer queries expeditiously. Recommendations are often provided to update query issues such as acquisition parameters and DICOM tags. And Median's expert staff lend support to sites by clarifying information and following up on query resolution. Median audits open queries which are automatically tracked to the site each week and escalates all queries to ensure support of closure. We sometimes enlist support from the sponsors and CROs to close queries in a case of interim analysis. Access can be provided to sponsors, CRAs, and project managers to better analyze queries to anticipate closure of all queries remaining open. Our query management system automatically detects inactive users and alerts us when said user needs to be replaced. Internal query KPIs are used to detect sites with an abundant amount of open and old queries to ensure closure in a short amount of time. And closure collaborations by Median sites and sponsors supported by advanced monitoring systems. Sponsors and CRAs gets access to Median's reporting portal, query management system, and our electronic transfer system to better collaborate with Median in case escalation is needed. Now, Narvy will help us understand ways of improvement.
So, the first is working on developing and strengthening our performance metrics. We do this by evaluating the site's performances, trying to make sure our queries are closed in a timely manner, and cutting down the time it takes to have a site initiated. We try to anticipate potential difficulties such as missing imaging modality, image upload delay, to ensure that we'll have proper recommendation and feedback for the sites. Identifying users that are already trained on our processes and utilizing our training certificates to move forward with granting users access is one of our successful tools to not just cut down the time it takes to initiate the site, but to also take out some time of burden from them. The second key point that we are working on is strengthening support solutions to our customers. Some ways we are doing this are by developing internal teams of experts to ensure that we're offering advanced support. by becoming a unique point of contact for investigator sites. We improve identification of priority sites. We offer support sessions with translators when needed and remote training during the site setup or when specific issues are detected to sites. The last key is to improve our site survey and escalation process. We do this by reinforcing our interactions with the sponsors and CROs, as well as providing more visibility on the site initiation status. This includes us joining sponsor meetings during the study startup. Another way we do this is by sharing our data with the sponsors and CROs to better identify priorities and staff changes. We also work in close cooperation with investigator sites to help strengthen our relationships with the sites. And we are also happy to perform phone calls every time it's necessary. Now Cyril will be going over the online reporting portal.
Thank you, Narvy and Regan, for this presentation. So as you've seen, we are working with very detailed data, but it's also worthwhile getting a high-level view for the teams collaborating on a clinical trial. To allow this, we developed a comprehensive online reporting portal. It is a unique tool providing ongoing, real-time, easy accessible to sponsors and TRA, which answers the following questions. What is the status of the site initiation overall in the study? What sites are ready or not? Are all sites, by example, within a country ready to go? What are investigator sites' performance in terms of reactivity to transfers and image quality globally? What is the progress in conducting the central reads on that trial? So all those questions we can answer providing using the online reporting portal that all study stakeholders can consult in a very graphical way, as you can see on those screen captures. You can look at the query flow, you can look at the initiation of the sites, which are all plotted on graphs. You can also look at the queries types and reasons to be able to focus on what might be the most difficult issues that we are facing at any point in time. So all of those analytics are very helpful in identifying where the management team should be spending their time and what problems are the most important one at a given point in time. So it helps fostering a seamless cooperation between the different teams involved in the clinical trial. So the sponsor, obviously the imaging CRO such as Median, the CRO, and the investigator site staff. So now we can go to a Q&A session. Let's see if we have questions.
Let's see. Oh, I have one question I can start with. What is the average duration to initiate a site at Median? We're able to initiate a site about 97% of the sites 97% of the sites within about like 30 days. Approximately 95% of our sites are able to use e-transfer. We're constantly trying to use our e-transfer platform as it's the most efficient way to upload images. We do have a handful of sites that are using CDs still due to IT restrictions, but for the most part, we are able to initiate sites within that 30 days. And then also having the training certificates now, we can also reduce that time.
I have a question as well. What are other methods to answer or issue queries if the query management system is down? And that's a good question. Sites can send an email to the image manager's email address, but we prefer to ask or answer questions in the query management system portal to ensure that the question is directed to the correct image manager and that the email does not get lost.
I have one here too. It says, what if site is unable to use e-transfer? We do offer the CD shipment training to be provided to the sites if e-transfer is not available. E-transfer is definitely our preferred method, though it's more efficient, but the site is able to be provided with shipping material to send us CDs if the e-transfer platform is not available for the site.
Okay, we just got another one. What if a site is unable to unload images within the recommended 7 days? Ooh. Okay, well, due to COVID-19, we understand that things are taking a lot longer than what they used to. So that may not be possible right now. So we asked the site if they would communicate with us to let us know the issue, that it's going to be a little bit longer than 7 days, and upload the images as soon as possible. That way we will know not to issue a query asking for the images.
It looks like I also have another question that's kind of relating to the COVID-19 too. It says, what sort of collaboration are you defining to support sites with management of COVID-19? Um, Obviously, we do know there have been some setbacks with the site initiation process with COVID-19. Honestly, the best way we have been handling this is just staying in close communication with the sites. There have been a lot of site staff that haven't been able to physically go into work. So we just have to be mindful that there may be delays and that we are handling this like as sensitively like as possible and to try not to overwhelm the sites already than they already are.
Okay, so thanks, Narvy and Regan. It's time to end this session. Thanks all for attending this webinar. This recording will be available on LinkedIn, Twitter, and our website in the coming days. If you have any questions that have not been discussed today due to time restriction, we will reply to you by email, so don't hesitate to contact us. You can certainly send an email at info@mediantechnologies.com. Hope that we can see each other again for our next webinar. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.